Okay, we have the wonderful opportunity now to bring on board two representatives, I suppose, from services who have been invited by New South Wales Family Daycare Association to join in the discussion in real time with us today and share perhaps even some words of wisdom with us. So we know that some services have already been displaying the new poster and are already having conversations with their families. So therefore, we've invited a nominated supervisor from one of the services to talk with us today and another representative from a service who hasn't yet displayed their poster. Now, I would like to introduce Christine, who is the nominated supervisor at Campbelltown Family Daycare. And Christine, we're very, very pleased to have you on board to talk with us today and give us some words, or pass on some words of wisdom from your experience with the assessment and rating. So welcome.
Thanks, Nikki.
Christine, now your service was rated and assessed as exceeding in all quality area on a 6 out of the 7 quality areas. Is that right? And exceeding overall?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, fantastic. And when was it that you were last assessed and rated?
So we were last assessed in 2016.
Okay, all right.
So nearly due again.
Yes, okay. So waiting for that letter to come and or the email to arrive. Yeah, fantastic. Yes. Okay. So going back, I suppose, to that experience that you had and the work that the service did and what's happened since then, and the fact that your service has now taken on that opportunity, I suppose, to have your posters out and sharing information with families, what kind of questions or comments came from new families? Did you have any? Was it what you expected, what you prepared for?
Nikki, I think for us with the new ratings quality area poster, all of our educators put it up. Some of them had some very new parents kind of ask what it is, because obviously it's a lot bigger now being an A3 size, and it's very bright and colourful. So it's very eye-catching. So there was a few newer parents who were kind of asked the educators what that was and what it meant. But what we did as part of our preparation is within the pack that we received, we actually got like a little parent handout that you can give to parents. So we actually scanned that and emailed our parents the poster itself of our assessment and rating, plus the information that the department had given us around what quality looks like and what that means within education and care services. So we emailed that out to our families to say, here's some information around assessment and rating and what it means for our service and for the educators, and that you will be able to see the new poster on display within the educator services, and to feel free to ask them any questions if you've got any. So I don't know if by providing that we may have quenched a few questions because they had that information there. But I know that a lot of the educators were quite excited to have something up that was quite bright and eye-catching for the parents to see. So a lot of them, were more than happy to kind of say to their parents, oh, this is our new poster, because they were all aware that the parents got the information as well. Okay, all right. So that's an interesting response, in so much as it really I suppose, supports what we were talking about earlier in this presentation about proactiveness, like considering how you share information and getting it out there. And I'm thinking, yes, you're right. Perhaps if there were questions or possible questions, they were answered with that information that went out to families, first up. And great to hear that the educators were excited about this big A3 poster, bright poster, because, even I know when I read the information, I was thinking of family daycare environments, and then finding the space, I suppose, they're asked to put it prominently, so finding the space for it. So that's great that they thought, they saw that as a positive, and here it is. So that question was around new families. What about existing families? You've put the information out to them, the poster's gone up. Did they have any response to that? No, not really. I think that with existing families, they've built that relationship and that connection with the educators. So for them to have something on display to show that they're receiving quality isn't as, I guess, it doesn't make them any more sorry, I've lost my words now.
That's okay. Is it not necessarily all the reassurance or all the information they need? It's they're getting they know.
Yeah, I think, that's exactly right, Nikki. It's not so much for them that they need that reassurance. They see it every day when they enter their educators' homes. They've built those relationships. They know that, what their child is receiving is quality because that's what they're getting, and that's the reason that their child's in care in the first place, because it's meeting the needs of the families and they're seeing their children thrive within the services.
Yes, yeah, okay. I see where you're coming from there, because I suppose it's one more piece of a puzzle of information about quality, but it's not everything. And as you said, existing families have relationships, to them, they have their own ideas of probably what quality looks like and sounds like with their family daycare educator and that. So, so totally understand where you're coming from. So you've mentioned that information went out to families and obviously the educators and that. How do you feel as a service you prepared the educators for being ready to display the poster, share the information?
Yeah, so for the educators, we did it a little bit different. We had a compulsory meeting that all the educators attended, and we let the educators know that we had put our hands up to be early adopters of the new quality rating poster and initiative that the department was rolling out. So we semi-prepped them for that, and we, I guess, got them excited about it, that this is really great for education and care as a whole. It's going to inform parents more about all those nitty-gritty things that you do that you feel like they don't sometimes pay attention to, like your programming and like all those quality things, to kind of get them a little bit excited, and that they would want to show parents and engage in conversations about that. And I guess just providing them with support on one-on-one visits when we handed out the posters. So the posters were handed out by our educator support officers, and they touched base with the educators, answered any questions that they might have had about the poster, or if they were worried about if parents asked them questions, kind of coached them with some wording that they could use with families and things like that. And plus they also received the email from the that we sent out to the parents as well. So they were able to see exactly what information the parents received and have knowledge of that. So if there was any specific questions around that, they had the means to be able to answer that and felt confident with that because they'd seen the exact same information.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I'm hearing there too, that approach of let's talk about it as a group, and also that individual support, as you said, when the posters went out. The other thing I suppose I'm thinking with it when you're talking like that, I'm thinking about the culture. You're setting up that culture of let's talk about quality, and let's identify quality in your practices, in your programming and those type of things, which again I think is a really positive thing to be doing. And throughout the national quality standards, we're asked to reflect, and we're asked to, I suppose, identify and become more confident with talking about why we do what we do, and definitely quality fits into that. So so I can hear that in the approach your service has taken. So how comfortable are you, I suppose, as the nominated supervisor for the service? How confident are you with talking about quality and kind of, I suppose, teasing it out to what it looks like on a daily basis for any of your educators?
Yeah, look, I think that talking about quality in family daycare runs through my blood. All my children have been through family daycare, and it's something that I guess when I talk about it, I'm excited about it. And I think that that's something that definitely flows down through my staff and then down to our educators and to families when we talk to them. To say that it's easy to, I guess, discuss and point out quality for every single individual educator in one space is hard, because they all offer quality so differently. And that, I think that's something that needs to be celebrated within family daycare, because, parents are able to find their quality and what is, best practice for them and what meets the needs of their families within each educator's home. So they may go to one educator and they find that and it's amazing, and they may go to the next educator and something just doesn't click. So I think that, as the nominated supervisor of a scheme, it's really important that, it's celebrating each of their individual quality aspects and being able to really talk through that. But I guess also supporting the staff to be able to have conversations with the educators to celebrate their successes so that they can see what quality looks like. Because as everybody knows, when you get into a daily routine, you just feel like you're doing your job. Sometimes those little extra above and beyond moments if they're not pointed out, you just think, well, that's just me doing my job. You don't realise that that's something that is, above, the expectations of the national quality standards, or is something a little bit extra that you've offered a family for them to feel like they belong in your service. So I think that, as a nominated supervisor, it's about, flowing that passion down through to everybody that quality is important. And although sometimes parents don't, pick up the national quality standards and say, oh, I can see how you're meeting this and this and this. For them, it's, for the educator, it's about celebrating what you do. And if parents aren't, engaging in that because that's not what quality is for them, it doesn't mean that you can't sell that to the parents. This is the guidelines that we have to meet. These are the regulations that we have to meet. And this is how I'm doing it within my service. So, allowing them to celebrate and to feel comfortable and engage with conversations like that, even if they're the ones that are fueling it and starting the conversations, rather than waiting for parents to ask questions.
Okay, so with that, I'm taking on board that sharing the confidence, sharing the passion, encouraging educators, yes, to identify quality, talk about quality. And I like that word celebration that you keep using as well, because it's, again, it's such a positive thing there, and celebrating their individuality, because we know that's something special about family daycare. There's lots of special things about family daycare, but that individuality that meets, community, represents the community really well. I think that's a great thing. The other thing I'm thinking, how wonderful you come from a perspective of a parent that's used family daycare, and also somebody that works and supports family daycare as the nominated supervisor. So, yeah, you'd be tapping into a whole variety of your own experiences and understanding when you're enacting your role as well. So I'm just thinking, that's a positive thing too, a great thing for your service and for the educators. Well, now, words of wisdom. Anything else that you would like to share with service staff out there who are, whether they've got the posters out now, whether they're thinking, right, time to put the posters out or have them ready for next year? Any pearls of wisdom that you could share around this experience and around quality, I suppose, altogether?
Yeah, look, I just think it's really, really important that, that we do boost the educators. Like I said, they don't really sometimes see the greatness that they are doing, because it just becomes an everyday habit. And I guess making them prepared, giving them the information, informing families, and having that come from the scheme and flow down, rather than just allowing the educators to be able to do that. Not that they're not capable to be able to do it, but I think if it comes from scheme level as well as from educator level, they just feel like they've got that backing. So they know that, if they do have a conversation with a parent and a parent does have a lot of questions that, when someone's throwing questions at you, you can get nervous and sometimes not answer them correctly or have doubts about what you're saying. So to be able to provide them with the confidence to say, look, that's something that I really haven't thought of, but I'd love to touch base with my coordination unit and just double check, and then I can come back with the answer for you, so that they kind of know that they've got the backing all the way through. But I think it's really important that the educators receive the same information that the families do, in the sense that then they feel that connection and they are prepared. And just, really, I think it starts from the top. So if you're excited and inspired and passionate about something, to be able to flow through, that then flows through the whole service. So, if you're coming out and facing, your educators and saying, the post is great, it's going to give us, a great talking point with parents, it's bright, it's, it's engaging, then the educators are going to get excited about it. And, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're rated. That poster depicts a point in time on your journey that you're at. So regardless of whether you're meeting or exceeding, your journey is always going to continue. And I guess it's about giving the educators the confidence to be able to say, at that point in time when we're assessed, we are working towards, but we've had these things and we've done these things, and next time it might be different. It's just a point in time, and this is how we're moving forward, and this is how we're reaching exceeding. And if you're at exceeding, you always can get better. So it's about, saying to parents, that's where we were at that point in time, but we've now put these new procedures or these new practices in place, and, it's helped us to be even more, exceeding or provide more quality or whatever it is to the families. So I think it's really a mindset, and it's about flowing that mindset down. If you're excited, they're going to be excited. So just, flow that through the service.
Yeah, fantastic. And again, that positive outlook that you have and the service has is great. Also, I'm seeing your emphasis on communication there, the service communication with educators, so they feel supported, can feel they can communicate and flow through to the parents as well. But also that reminder that, yes, educators can say to parents, I'll get back to you, maybe I need some more information. And you're right, sometimes when you're under the pump with answering a question, you as an individual, people may not feel totally confident with it, but that's great that they would be supported to go back, have the conversation with you or somebody from the service, and that so they can return to the conversation with the families. So, yeah, fantastic. Christine, thank you for joining us again today. That's been wonderful. It's great to talk to people like yourself who have had that lived experience and have a wealth of experience and knowledge and that you bring to family daycare yourself and are able to share it with us. Really invaluable, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries at all. Thanks, Nikki.
Take care. Again, I would like to introduce Julie, who is from Camden Family Daycare, and Julie is in at work today and she's representing the service, so we really appreciate that. So hi to you, Julie.
Hello.
Julie, now your service is rated as meeting national quality standard. That's correct, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Now, and at this stage, you are not yet displaying the posters because you haven't yet received the packages. So it's all yet to come. Fantastic. Okay. How at this stage, how are you thinking with yourself and your team that you will prepare the educators for the packages arriving and the information going out?
So we have our manager, Julia, do a weekly update to our educators. So at the end of last week, she notified them that the posters will be coming and that they will be needing to be displayed. So there was an introduction to that. When they do arrive, coordinators will take them out to each educator, explain what they're about, and probably discuss a prominent position that they need to be displayed, and also answer any questions they have. So quite often we will do a feed until we get to a one-on-one visit with them. So that would be via email. And, yeah, quite often conversations start on our educator Facebook page and things like that. So if people have got questions, quite often staff will get in and answer questions as well, as sometimes other educators responding as well. So we do provide them a lead up to the actual visit where we provide them with the information and answer any questions. So they've got an opportunity to think of any questions they may have prior.
Okay, fantastic. And that's interesting. Between yourself and Christine, you've actually offered quite a few different modes, I suppose, of communication with educators as well, as you say, to prepare them, to provide that bit more information and to connect with them, I suppose, to remind them that they're fully supported with all of this as well. So that's wonderful. Are you confident that your educators can have those conversations around, here I go, quality with the families? Like, how are you feeling about that?
100%, because our educators are passionate about what they do. So, you know, they are very good at talking the talk when it comes to their role, especially with families. I think because the communication links between educators and families is so strong. So they're constantly informing parents about their child's day and what's happening and what's going on in their service. So for those reasons, they are very good at having those conversations. And I agree with Christine, if it was possibly someone from the department asking the questions, they might get a bit nervous and feel quite different about it. But I think they do shine when it comes to, communicating with their parents. They certainly are very good at doing that. So I don't think there will be any issues there. I suppose the disappointing thing for our educators is we were previously rated at exceeding and now we're rating at meeting. That initially that was probably, quite difficult for them. Surprisingly enough, they may not have had a lot of parents question it. They may get more questions now that it's on display. But, yeah, overall it went quite well, and we did support them a lot when we did receive that rating back in June 2018 to, offer them support and advice on how they could discuss that with their parents as well.
That's right. And, again, you weren't alone there in the education and care services, when the new approach to assessment and rating came in. Yeah, that was a lot of services stories. So, yeah. And it did take those conversations again around, well, let's look at that and where we're up to with that and what does that mean in light of changes, and also what are we going to do moving forward, how we'll work with this information, how can it support us, not take from us, I suppose. Absolutely.
And I think now looking back that we've, gotten over that initial shock and gotten through it, we actually now see it as a positive that we do strive harder because, we want to get back there. So, I would say we do work harder with our educators for them to be more involved in our QIP rather than it be, a coordination unit thing that we're sort of presenting to our educators. It's actually more united, I feel. So, good things come of it. So, it certainly, is a good positive in the long run. Sure. Yeah,
and that's another interesting point, though, you've made about the educators, I suppose, connection and involvement with the QIP, because I suppose it encourages them to take some ownership of it, and with that when they do that, of course, they get to know it a bit better, so it becomes easier to talk about. So I'm just seeing the thread that weaves through there about talking about quality, because you've really brought them into that conversation. So again, another great example of a way to do it. And I think you're right. Sometimes QIPs in the past have been very much secret, service staff business kind of thing. We tend to take the responsibility on very strongly, but maybe if we do look at the team as a whole, be dispersed as well. So I think that's a great example. Okay, sorry, just looking at these questions here. Do you think existing or new families, Julie, do you think they will have any concerns about the changes now it's going to be this bright coloured poster?
Initially, I think when we got our rating and it went to meeting, we were probably anticipating a lot of questions from our existing families as to, why are we not exceeding anymore and has our service level dropped? But surprisingly enough, we got very minimal questions. In saying that, I think we provided them with a lot of information through newsletters and maybe anticipated questions and answered them. So maybe that's why we didn't get a lot of questions. We also prepared our educators that if you get questions, maybe this is how we can answer things rather than, having a negative aspect as to, we've dropped and this isn't a good thing, turning it around into a positive. So we did have those conversations. Look, in all honesty, even with new families, surprisingly enough, we haven't had many ask why we're rated at meeting now. So, no, I think, in all honesty, a parent goes to an individual service and it's the connection they feel with that educator and how their child responds to that educator is probably one of the most important things to them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes how many stars we have, it doesn't matter how hard we work and we want to have that exceeding level ourselves. To them, it's that connection with the educator that's important, and they may not be as concerned about it as what we are.
Yeah. Well, I suppose when you said that, it just made me think too about quality being very much an individual's perspective as well. And so, yes, you're right. The quality, that what's important to them, and we might call it quality, yes, is what they see on a daily basis, is the relationships, is that happy child at the end of the day, or whatever it might be. So, so it's on a more practical level perhaps. Yeah, fantastic. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, so in regards to that, have you got any ideas about how you're going to explain the rating systems to the families? Like, do you feel that that anything else needs to be happening?
Look, we have an educator Facebook page and a Canon Family Daycare one, so information will be provided. I have to say I'm not great at social media, but it is a very good tool. Thank goodness other staff are much better at it than I am at providing parents with information, and it seems to be, something that a lot of people like to get their information from. So we certainly will be sharing information through the Facebook pages, through newsletters, to keep them informed. I think as much as I'm saying, for a parent, it's the relationship that they have with their educator. Everyone wants to know their child's receiving quality care overall, and that's where those ratings come in. And, we do want to answer any questions that they may have, and it might simply be before this poster is going to generate those questions and those conversations. So, bring it on. We're happy to inform them, tell them what we're working on. We want that connection with our families as well as with our educators for them to be part of it as well. And we will, often send out questions for feedback for our families as well if we're going to be making changes to policies or procedures or anything like that, so they are involved in it. So absolutely, we'll keep the parents well informed. Yeah,
fantastic. And what I can hear then from Christine, yourself and Julie is that proactive approach, that positive approach as well, and that confidence, I think, in your team, your educators and your staff to make the most of this. So again, we thank you so much for taking part in the conversation today, and I'm really sure those others that are participating will have taken a lot from what you've just said, even if it is some reassurance about, just great. As you say, just go with it, take it and just go with it. Yeah, well done to both of you. And again, thank you. We wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.